This is Stacey McKibben with the Master Communicator Podcast, where CEOs, C-suite, and senior level executives share their advice. It's 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best leaders know how to share their ideas concisely and quickly. Let's jump right in. Question number 1. In a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
My name is Amos Schwartzfarb. I'm the managing director of Techstars in Austin and author of Sell More Faster. And essentially what I do is I run an accelerator in Austin where I invest in 10 companies every year. I bring them to Austin and work with them for 90 days and really for the life of their company, but intensely for 90 days here in Austin.
Wow, that's amazing. So you've been really changing a lot of lives by the number of people you get to touch through that incubator, I bet.
Yes, and hopefully for the good.
We'll let them tell us that part of the story. Question number 2, from your perspective, what's the best thing about leading people?
I think for me, the best thing about leading people is trying to understand where their skills lie relative to where they think they lie and what motivates them so that together we can achieve the optimal potential for whatever it is, the thing that we're working on. I really enjoy that sort of identifying like, hey, not everybody's good at everything, but if I can figure out what you're good at and what you like and what motivates you, we can do some amazing things together.
That you remind me of Gay Hendricks and The Big Leap. Are you familiar with that book, The Zone of Excellence versus Your Zone of Genius? It's a really great book and totally speaks to what you're talking about here.
Oh, cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah. And identifying really, that stuff that you can do well, but where the stuff that really gets you excited, that's your zone of genius. So I love that, tapping into that piece. Question number 3, and this one always makes me chuckle a little bit. I often hear from other business leaders that business would be great if it weren't for that pesky people problem. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that?
Gosh, I think I've even said those words myself when some CEOs are having challenges with the people, but I don't actually believe that. I think what they mean is that not everyone is different and an individual, and a lot of people, I believe, think that people generally think like them, even if they don't say that out loud consciously. The expectation is, well, if I think this way, you probably do too. And I think, this becomes the challenge and the opportunity with managing people, which is how, kind of what we were saying before, how do you identify the individual for who they are and how do you work with each individual differently versus treating everybody the same? And especially in today's day and age when, the thing we're looking for, we're looking for automation, we're looking for repeatability in businesses so that we can grow and scale. And that is much, much harder, if not impossible, to do with people because we're all coming from different backgrounds and different places. So how do you find the opportunity working with people based on what their strengths are?
Yeah. And again, celebrating the strengths as opposed to beating up on our weaknesses, right? And then aligning people accordingly, which might mean you have to rearrange deck chairs every now and again and put people in the right seats,
Yep.
sort of, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Love that. Question number 4, what other successful business leaders like yourself should be on the podcast? Who else should we be listening to?
Kurt Rathman, the CEO of Scale Factor, is a phenomenal individual. Rob Taylor, the CEO of Convey. Monica Landers, the CEO of StoryFit. Maggie Williams, the CEO of Skipper. Gosh, I have a lot. I work with a lot of SIGs. How long do you want me to go?
Well, I think my point here is just for the audience, as you think about where to continue to develop your leadership skills, look around in your community. There are generally people within your network that, again, much like Amos here, that you can just rattle off that are really, powerful examples of, who to become as we, go through this journey called life.
Yeah.
Go Prince.
Great reference.
Right. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Question number 5, what piece of advice about communication would you give to other leaders?
Someone said this to me recently and I loved it. And I've actually been repeating it a lot, which is the art of being a good communicator is not the delivery of the message, but delivering the message in a way that the listener can receive it. And I think putting that cap on when you're communicating is crucial to actually having an open communication platform with people.
Oh, you're singing my language. I love to say communication is the response you get. So if you don't like your response, then maybe you change the approach, right? So again, it's that whole idea of, I think that, the person delivering the message has a responsibility to deliver the message in a way that's palatable and interpretable to the other person. And the listener has a responsibility too, right? They have a responsibility to dismiss or set down the delivery if it doesn't meet their needs, and to hear the message that was intended. But that takes a little bit more skill.
Yeah, absolutely. I took an improv class a long time ago with the Groundlings. And one of the things that they taught, it was like a 101 class, but one of the things they taught you is don't try to look good, try to make your partner look good. And if everyone's always trying to make their partner look good, then everyone looks good. And I've tried to think about how do you carry that forward into business also.
Oh, I love that. You made me think about a coaching session this week where the gal was challenged about her supervisor and some of the challenges that she was having with that individual. And we offered up, what if your job was to make them look good? And she was, I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. I just thought about, what they need to be doing for me versus what I could potentially be doing for them, and how that would dramatically change the relationship. So I love that, make your partner look great. That's awesome. Question number 6, our final and magic question. Tell us about your favorite boss or teacher. I want to know who influenced you.
It's a timely question. Which may be way too long of a story to get into why. But I went and actually tried to count recently, like in the last couple of days, or figure that out. And what I've come up with, there's way more, but 17 people that I can directly point to that have influenced me over the last, I'm 46, over the last 38 years or longer, not including my parents. So it's a hard question for me to answer at this moment because I've been thinking about it. But I think the person that I will point out in this moment is Jake Weinbaum, who was the CEO of business.com and my boss at business.com. And there's a lot that I learned in my time with him that I've tried really hard to carry forward. And I was someone who was so underqualified for the role that he gave me, and really had to learn, and watching him help teach me, not by teaching me, but by mirroring the things that I thought he did well. I reflect back on that almost every day, and certainly every week, in this job, but probably, for longer than that. And I haven't worked with him in 12, 13 years.
Wow. And again, I love how you kick off with the preamble around that there's so many who have influenced you. And again, it harkens to the exercise of how often do we go back and reflect on the people who have touched us and in what way. I think that exercise alone is, the gratitude that we feel, and, the blessings that come from that exercise are worth it in spades, So thank you for sharing. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being on, Amos. I think that, again, your insights have been incredibly valuable. I know people are going to want to reach out. Where could they find you? You can just email me at amos@techstars.com. I answer every email. Sometimes it takes me 4 or 5 days, but I do answer every email that I get that doesn't look like spam. And I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm not very active on Twitter, but I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. At Twitter, I'm at I am Amos Lee, and LinkedIn, I'm just Amos Schwartzfarb. That's awesome. Okay, well, and I'll put the contact information as well in our description, so that if any audience members want to go and check you out and find you, they can certainly do that. Well, this is Stacey McKibben with the Master Communicator Podcast. For more insights and ideas, please go to www.concilioteam.com, and we look forward to connecting with you next time.